Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 534. I had the black pieces. My opponent played e4. I go with the symmetrical response e5. Now he goes d4. This move by itself, d4, is known as a center game, but it's often used to introduce the Danish Gambit, and that's what we get here. For some reason I didn't recognize this during the opening when I was playing it live, so I didn't know what to call it, and I didn't play my normal moves. Normally I take, which I did play that much, and then after c3 I would typically play d5 here rather than taking. The thing is, I don't like this position after knight takes. That's not actually the main move here, but after knight takes c3, that's a good version of the Danish Gambit. I think white has a lot of compensation for the pawn. Playing bishop c4 and giving up a second pawn is a bit risky. And normally I go ahead, once I've gotten this far, I normally go ahead and grab the pawn. There's some interesting lines there that where black can equalize or get a good position. But like I said, I was a bit confused about what opening I was in. So I played knight c6, which is still an okay move. And now he grabs the pawn back. So white has sacrificed one pawn, but he has a significant amount of development, and so he's got good compensation here. Let's see, I continue with knight f6, putting pressure on the e-pawn, and for the moment I'm safe from this e5 move because the knight is blocking it. But after this move, knight f3, actually white is threatening e5, and I should really do something about that. So I would probably play d6 here, although the chess engine says also you can play bishop to b4. Might be interesting. But that would allow e5 and the knight would get kicked around. Anyway, I played bishop e7, which is just a mistake because now white can push on with e5 and get a good position. This knight doesn't have so many great squares. The engine wants to play it out to g4. It's a bit of a target on g4. And then develop the queen. Knight to g4, queen to d5. Develop the queen to this square. Yeah, it looks pretty dangerous. So anyway, I was lucky that he didn't take advantage of this little slip. Instead, he started playing some quiet moves here. He castled, I castled, played a3. I played d6 finally, stopping that e5 idea, and he plays h3. And these haven't really done a whole lot to help white's position. Although with bishop takes e6, he's still, I guess... yeah, okay. After bishop takes e6, it's still about even, which means that he has sufficient compensation for the pawn. After bishop to d3, however, it's starting to look more and more like black is just a pawn up. And so I continue with knight e5. He takes. Take back. And then he goes queen to e2. Cancel that. Queen to e2. Okay, staying on the light squares. I go c6. I want to... stop the knight from hopping into these squares, so c6 often a useful move, and especially there's no knight that's being blocked in by that c6 pawn, so it's good in this case, I think. He goes bishop e3. I go queen c7, so we finally get all our pieces out. He puts his rook opposite my queen, and I bring my rook to the d file. I don't see any tactics here just yet. There's always this idea of knight here taking advantage of the pin, but unless there's some follow-through, knight here is also possible in some circumstances, so you just have to be aware of these tactics. Let's see, he goes rook f to d1, bringing that rook out. And I decided to get away from the c-file, so I don't have to keep worrying about those ideas. And now he pushes on with f4, so he's starting to get into this attacking mode. Looks like it's not entirely sound, this attack, so I do okay at first. I take the pawn, takes back, I throw in bishop c5 check. Looks like knight h5 might have been a little better there, but still okay for me. And then bishop to d4. So I get this bishop up to a strong position. Maybe I can even come over here and counter his dark squared bishop. He goes e5, pushing forward, and so I throw in this bishop takes c3 move. Yeah, it looks like that's approved. If he takes my knight, I can take back with the pawn, so I have time to get rid of more material. That's often the idea when you're playing a gambit, is to just trade off material. And after rook takes, so it didn't like rook takes, it likes pawn takes better. Well, he didn't want to mess up his pawn structure, I guess. Let's see what happens. After rook takes, I go knight d5, hitting his bishop, and the rook. And now he goes in for queen e4. So this threatens mate, and I have to deal with that. Play g6, and then he plays bishop to h6, hitting my rook. So up until this point, you can see actually I have a win here with knight takes c3. But I just wasn't sure. I guess I didn't calculate this out correctly. And what did I play? I played king h8, and after that it starts to go downhill. So let's take a look at this knight takes c3. This is sort of my last chance. I thought I would take here, and then he would take my rook. That's what I was thinking. Oh, but his queen's under attack, so he has to take my knight. Okay, and then I have time to save my rook to e8. So I've just won the exchange. I thought his queen could get in here on the dark square. Say he tries something like queen f4. I can go bishop f5. He can play g4 to kick the bishop. And then I can start taking material. Rook takes, bishop takes. So the queen comes in here, and queen takes e5. Okay, so that's how to defend. The queen grabs the pawn at the end, and there's no mate along that diagonal because the queen is indirectly guarding the g7 square. Okay, so that's how I should have played that. That was my chance to kind of put this game away. After bishop h6, I just was trying to get my king out of the way. I thought if he would take my rook, I would still take his rook, and I should be okay. And if he doesn't take my rook, my plan is to play rook over here to g8 to defend the g7 square, because I saw these mating ideas starting to form in the position. He goes queen f3, taking a look at that same diagonal, and so I went rook g8. But then I realized there's actually another problem here, which is this check along the diagonal is pretty devastating. Let's see, did he have a better way of playing that, or is that... No, that was good by him. It was good play by white. It's just all my mistakes. So after queen f3, I should have played queen to c7. Yeah, that's another idea. Trying to bring this rook back here. My knight is still guarding this square here too. That's an important point. So he's not crashing through immediately, and I have time to do a little bit of rearrangement. Okay, so I went here with rook g8. He goes bishop to c4. Now he's threatening to remove this last defender, and I realize the weakness of my position here is this knight, which is defending the this rook. The rook that's defending the g7 square is also blocking the king in. So if the queen gets to f6 here, it's still mate along that diagonal. It doesn't have to go all the way to g7. It can just mate me from f6 there. And the key is he just needs to remove this knight. And actually, I'm losing from this point forward. There doesn't seem to be any way out. I tried blocking with the bishop, like we saw in some other lines. He goes bishop takes, getting rid of this one defender. I take back with the rook. Oh, it looks like I'm okay here. Let's see. He had a better move than taking the bishop. Taking the knight, I mean. Bishop to g5, hitting the rook. Or b4, hitting the queen. Huh. Yeah, it's not so obvious to me why those are winning moves. Rook c to c1. And then bishop takes d5, the fourth choice of the engine, or fifth. Okay, well anyway, he took. I took back. So slight edge to white. So maybe I had some defense here I missed. He kept taking. Rook takes d5. I take with the queen. Yeah, let's see where this really swings into a loss then. Yeah, he took all the material off. He went for the endgame. So that was kind of a forced sequence. Yeah, maybe he just has a win in this endgame. My problem is my king is way over here on the corner. Bishops are of opposite color, and I still, for the moment, have an extra pawn, but his rook is going to get active, and he's going to get his material back, and his king can enter the game more easily than mine. So I think, yeah, the main problem here is just my king, and this endgame is trapped. But let's see. Let's play on and see if there was a way for me to defend this. He goes rook c7, I go bishop e6. I need to stop this, stop his pawn from coming forward, and I didn't want his bishop coming into g7. See, but once again, yeah, I didn't really have to do that. I could have activated the rook. Okay, but this is still in the range of that slight edge to white. He takes a pawn, and I activate my rook on the d file. And he grabs, oh, he could grab another pawn here. Rook to a8 was a little more accurate. Yeah, just defending the pawn. Okay. I thought it was better for me to try and push this pawn. He goes bishop to g5, hitting the rook and chasing me away from that idea. So I go over here and defend the a pawn after all. And yeah, it's only half a pawn advantage sometimes. Well, this should be, I should be able to hold this, I think. Then, in that case, king g1, king g7, king f2, and h6, kicking the bishop. That seemed pretty natural. Rook to c8 is recommended. Activating your rook is really important in the endgame too. That's an important idea. The idea being to come up here, check the king, and pick up a pawn. Okay, but h6, is that really all that bad? Let's see, he plays bishop f6 check, king f8. And I'm still having trouble getting out. His rook is guarding all of these squares, and his bishop prevents me from going over to the queen side by controlling those squares. Okay, he comes forward with his king, and let's see, I go h5. Okay, it starts to go downhill. Maybe a6 is a little better try. I think white can just slowly improve in this position, and black is kind of paralyzed. So it could be this is just lost, and the chess engine is just taking time to realize it. Anyway, let's play on a couple moves. King d4. And let's see, I put my king over to e8. He goes b4. And I went a6. Want to slow these pawns down. He goes king c5, coming in here. And now rook c8 check. At first it likes that, but then it goes back to this half pawn advantage. Let's see, I went king f8. I just wasn't finding anything. He goes rook c7, king to e8, just shuffling. He goes a4, and go king back to f8. Okay, so that's the final mistake. It says I could play rook to c8 here and still try to hold this. I thought, yeah, okay, this is my chance to go into that an opening with opposite colored bishops. So let's see if this is really holdable. Say he takes. I mean, an exchange can be forced there one way or another. This seems to allow his king to come in, so probably, let's see, he can grab this pawn. Then I get this pawn over here. Say he keeps coming forward and I grab this pawn. Then, my king is still trapped here. What do I do? Maybe just shuffle my bishop. Yeah, okay, bishop over here. And he brings his king over. Bishop g2 check. Here. So I guess with this bishop and king I can hold him off. So that was my last chance to hold this game right there. I played king f8, and he goes b5. And then after that he's just crashing through. b6. Yeah, it just looks like there's no way to stop this. Once again, my king is cut off. But and it's too late to try this rook to c8 trick. Okay, plays on b7. Check. And my bishop is still controlling this square, so it's not completely easy for white to figure out a way to break through, but eventually he gets the idea. Bishop to d6. That's a nice nice little setup here with his bishop indirectly looking at at my rook, so he's going to be able to move his rook away, chase my rook away from defense here. Let's see, I go over with king d8, and now he plays rook e7. He just needs to move his rook to a square where it's protected. And now I have no way out here. My rook is stuck. Let's see, I play a few more moves, but this is losing. That's right, it's an interesting trick. He takes my rook, giving up his rook, but he comes back here, and there's no way for me to stop that pawn from queening. So at this point, I resigned and the game ended here. So interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.